Oscar. Really appreciate that stuff, man. I'm in. I'm all in. As a father of three, that hits near and dear for sure. That's awesome. Great stuff, guys. Great presentations. Thanks, Lane and Alan, for allowing me to speak and to have this platform in general. My name is Ralph Marucci. I am the CEO and co-founder of Hydrate. I am going to start my clock and share my screen. Just give me a sec. Okay. All right. So let's talk about water. Let's see here. First of all, sorry. Sorry, move this tab. Okay. There we go. All right. So I'd like to give a quick background as well. I think context is definitely king, and my story is probably more interesting than even my products, I think. So like I said, my name is Ralph Marucci. I'm a Brooklyn boy, born and raised 31 years in New York, in Brooklyn. Now I live in Staten Island with my wife and three children, three boys, all very little still, 8, 3, and 7 months old. I am a product of immigrants, just like everybody else. My great grandfather immigrated to this country about 100 years ago with 9 kids, 7 of them made it. And one of them being, of course, my grandfather, who fought in World War II in the Battle of the Bulge. He was not able to go to school, so being in the Army was the only choice for him. He then became a mechanic based on his experience in the war. Gave my father the opportunity to go to school because of that. And my father, who did very well in school, decided to become a cop because they couldn't fire you over the color of your necktie or something like that. So it's all about survival in my family, coming from literally nothing. During the Great Depression, they had literally zero. The reason why I tell you guys this story, not to just give you background on me, but to bring the whole story full circle. When I signed the lease for my office in Brooklyn 3 years ago, I did not realize that when I sat in my desk for the first time, I looked out the window, and what did I see but the very house that my great grandfather immigrated to 100 years, almost to the day. I can't imagine how he would have thought that, coming from literally zero, that his great grandson, would have his own business that is a good business, and I will tell you more about that in just a second. But that business would, be multi-million dollars and growing, and employ 18 people and growing. And so I say that because I find that to be one of the more remarkable tales, to think that my office looked at that house for the last 3 years. So how Hydrate came about, when I was in college, my senior year, I was about to work with NYC marketing and big events. I was not going to school for water, if you can believe that. And water was something that fell in my lap. A venture capitalist had started a company down on Wall Street called Watermatic. I started with that company before Go Green was a thing back in 2007. Hit the ground running, made a lot of sales with these point of use water systems. These systems replaced the need for plastic and 5-gallon jug coolers. We did very well. I recruited a lot of my friends, 2 of which had money to start our own. We started a company called Skywater, which is still in business to this day. So we broke off the VC, started our own business. I ran the sales team, and one of my other best friends ran the technician team. 6 years later, fast forward, I left those guys based on, let's call it, creative differences. I worked for Johnson & Johnson for 5 years in the operating room, technically advising orthopedic surgeons on how to fix your ACL or your rotator cuff. 5 years after that, got a little disenchanted with the insurance world. My best friend, who was the blue collar end of that last company, said, "Hey, Ralph, we should start our own." Showed me that the market was still 85% plastic, and that this was a $70 billion industry that we knew the playbook for, and we could do it the right way. And what he says the right way, it's all about people. In our book, to love water and to love people is what it's all about. Customer service and water quality come above everything else, even our own needs. So we predicated and based our business based on that. The company is called Hydrate, as you'll notice from the slide here, phonetically spelt with the 8 built into the name. So people sometimes botch that up a little bit, understandably, but it is pronounced Hydrates with the 8. The 8 turned on its side is the infinity logo, and that is to represent unlimited water, as opposed to packaged in plastic, finite amount of water. So if you notice what we're doing here, the two main concepts is sustainability and wellness. Now, again, I have been on these two subjects for well over a decade now, but you can clearly see that the day and age we're living in now, that is where the puck is, or as I said a few years ago, where the puck was going, is about sustainability and wellness. So the first aspect is sustainability. Plastic is a hell of an invention, but we're drowning in this stuff. And especially during the pandemic, 90-something% of plastic bottles, single-use plastic bottles in particular, are not recycled. Where do they then go? Into the oceans, into the landfills. The fish eat them in the ocean, and then we eat the fish. So where does it end up? Back inside of you and I. We have alternatives to this, of course. I've been doing this since 2007. These point-of-use coolers can replace 250,000 single-use bottles, or 5-gallon jug bottles, I should say, over 1 million single-use bottles in their lifetime. Pair them with a bottle like this that everybody already has in their pantry somewhere. Everybody's got one. Alan, I will ignore the fact that you have a plastic bottle in your hand right now, no worries. These bottles are obviously reusable. What we want to do is pair them with a refill station, okay, which we will then connect to the nearest cold water source.
This is Lane's office, by the way.
Fair enough, no judgment, no judgment. We all have used it. I'm a Brooklyn boy. Like I said, I drink out of a hose. I drink out of a bottle. No judgment, like I said. But they are antiquated methods of getting water. A, you're being charged per ounce. B, you then run out of water. C, you are drinking plastic, whether you think you are or not, because it leaches into the water. And fourthly, again, it is not recycled properly. I am proud to say that in our 5 years of business, we have saved over 100 million bottles. Our goal is 1 billion bottles, as you see by this slide right here. So the problem is, again, as I mentioned, but also when you look at the 5-gallon jug, you see this guy in the bottom right, they're 50-pound jugs. You got to schlep them. You got to put them into place. You know, there's workers' comp claims I've seen reach $25,000 based on dropping them. They take up a ton of space. Even if you don't have a big warehouse like this, especially real estate in New York, you're paying per square foot. I like to say the cost of bottled water and plastic water starts at the bottom line, okay? And then you add from there. All right, so that's a little bit about sustainability. I want to keep this timely and moving here. I want to keep it to close to 10 minutes. So now we talk about wellness, okay? Not all water is the same. If I did a poll right now, which I was not prepared to do, but I like that idea, Jake, I'll steal it next time, is I would wonder, you know, how many people think water is water? If you think your tap water and the bottled water and the Brita system and the point of use cooler in your office all yield the same water quality, have I got news for you? Water is not all the same. They come with a host of contamination listing, especially if you live in, let's say, the state of New Jersey, if you're down with Jill in Texas, or if you're out in Long Island with Lane, you'll find chemicals, solvents, chlorine, mercury, arsenic, lead, chemicals that are nasty like chromium-6 and radium. This is found in our tap water. Now you say, well, the alternative is plastic bottles, which I already gave you a little poo-poo on that. But also plastic bottles have tons of their own hidden concerns. Not to mention, of course, the plastic itself, which leaches into the water. But additionally, the water itself does not always come from a Poland spring. It actually does come from a tap water. And that tap water has its own concerns. Moreover, when was it filled up? Could be 3 weeks, could be a month, could be several months ago by the time you drink it. So the water is not fresh. Our alternative is to use our natural resource, which is the tap. We will run a 1/4-inch line, could be high quality polypropylene, could be copper, from the back of the unit to the nearest cold water source cosmetically. So the one line we run, you will not see. From there, of course, now you have unlimited water. So that automatically eliminates the issue of running out. That'll never happen again. We're also charging you a flat fixed price per month. So you're not paying per ounce or per gallon. Drink as much as you possibly can, and I hope you do. And the process by which I find to be the most remarkable, is listed here. So what you see there on the bottom left is the process that Hydrate uses to purify water to the nth degree. The sediment filter and the carbon filter you find more commonly. It's a common filter is a carbon filter like your Brita. As you see, we're using sediment, which takes out dirt, rust, and silt. Carbon will take out chemicals, solvents, chlorine, any organic material. But now here's the key: reverse osmosis. You may have heard of it. It's the most popular method, or I should say most proven method, really, globally, to remove everything found in the drinking water, even the good stuff. So it's too thorough, okay? When I say too thorough, it's like, hey, we want the good nutrients out of water. What's that? Calcium, potassium, magnesium. Well, if I shoot over to this green filter over here, the Invigorate Boost, that is going to add those electrolytes back into the water. So I am going to guarantee you two things: the cleanest water, but also the healthiest water. So you will get everything you want out of it with none of the stuff that you do want in it. And then finally, at the last stage, activated oxygen is in our holding tanks. Very important to have in-tank sanitization. If you don't have it, over time, you will build up with bacteria, parasites, viruses of all kinds. This eliminates that. In a nutshell, it's like lightning striking the air to ensure that any particles that were there will no longer be there. So down to the bacteria. And then you see on the right, the alkaline filter. So the alkaline scale, if you will. Our bodies, which are made of water, are usually neutralized at about 7.5. That's where we want to live. Diseases thrive in an acidic environment. So if you're a big coffee drinker, soda drinker, taking in free radicals like Wi-Fi, like we all are on a regular basis, this is creating a more acidic environment in your body, period. So what we want to do is introduce some alkalinity, which is optional in all of our systems. 9.5 alkaline water is going to help restore your body's pH. If you have, God forbid, cancer, they start to form at a pH of 5.8, just to give you an idea. So to help neutralize that, we recommend alkaline water. My time is ticking, so I'm going to keep flying through here. We have made another innovation during the pandemic. What's better than a clean contact system like we already have is no contact. These fountains you see on the right, you probably see more often than you can imagine right now. They're shut down, not because they don't work, but because nobody wants you putting your mouth to them and touching them. So we designed a way to go hands-free, either with floor pedals or motion sensors. This eliminates the fifth germiest touch point in an office. The bigger the office, the more important that becomes. We are trusted by many big brands that you probably recognize here. And of course, many mom and pops that you've never heard of before, including residential accounts. So we can bring this great water system, these systems to your home. Again, germ-free, hands-free, plastic-free. Here is a look at some of the models. I want to draw your attention. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but these in-wall fountains, the droplets, the red heart droplet you see on the right there next to the picture of the team, those go in walls, those replace fountains. And then you got big guys like the Flow Water that have 7-gallon reserves, down to those countertop systems you see there that have about 1.3, great for a home or a smaller office. There's our team. We're not a chauvinistic team. I swear there are 2 women that work for us that were not present that day. So don't judge me. All right. I am an equal opportunity employer. This is what we're all about right here. Free trials and free demos of what we do. We'll come into your office. We'll set up the unit for free. We allow you to try it for 8 business days for free. And I do 2 tests, a TDS test, which measures the amount of solids in your water, comparing mine to yours, and a precipitator test, which will literally shock the water and unearth whatever might be hiding in your drinking water. And you will be pretty grossed out when you see that the water that you're drinking that was clear turns green and black and all other types of really funky colors, whereas my system will only yield maybe a tint of yellow, which is the magnesium remaining behind. We're almost at 0 TDS. You couldn't drink a healthier water system. It is all about that. We are very interested in partnering with people to provide that to you, not only for your own personal health and the flow of your office, but for a better, safer, and healthier planet, which is part of my credo personally, to leave this place much better than I found it and to pass it hopefully down to my children. So basically, from a service perspective, it behooves me to get it right. So I will not be leaving people high and dry, pun intended. Thank you very much. Lane and Alan, back to you.